one of them would, and they'd have their box down there to get the bees in, and he'd go up there and take his knife and cut that limb off, and hand it down with that bees that wad that big around on them, hand it down to him, they one of them with a shirt on, and put it down to that box, and peck on that box, and they'd go in that box, and they'd put it on their shoulder and take off with it.
Take off it. I know when Dad would rob his bees, you know, he'd have, you know, four or five stands of bees. He'd take off his shirt, you know.
Yeah.
And he'd go out there to do it. And I'm hiding behind a tree, you know, 40 feet away, and I get popped in the neck. And I said, Dad, I mean, how can you do that with no shirt on?
They'd never get a sting.
You know?
I don't know how in the world.
Well, he said what he did, though. Every now and then he kind of would move wrong. He said, they're not going to sting me. But, he used to get his hands, he'd be coming out of the hive.
Yeah.
He'd just scoop up a bucket.
Yeah.
Look at there, son. Look at there.
Yeah.
Oh, me. But he said every now and then he'd catch one by accident.
Yeah, yeah.
And it would sting him.
Yeah, everyone.
And so when he got finished, he'd say, son or mom, he'd say, can you see that one right there? I got hit right there one time. But you didn't know when he was doing it. He didn't let on at all that
He bit me out of his screaming.
Wow.
I'll tell you the funniest thing. On later, Casto was having this, and I was running the skid right on Signal Mountain. This is just before I got married. And we moved the skidder to a new place, and we had to have a tree to put the block in. And there's a stooping tree there, just right to put the block in. And a steel cable I had run in it about 2,000 feet, you know, kept it up off the ground. And he's clearing out around it, and there's bees going in that tree we was going to hook to. And it's getting over late in the year, and Casto says, well, I'll bring my stuff and I'll get them bees tomorrow. I said, Casto, it's too late. They'll never make it. We just will get rid of them. No. I said, all right. The next day he brought his bee bonnet and his stuff and gloves and got down there. We was going to take him home. Willis Johnson was riding with him on the truck. Well, he's come from the sawmill over there and had the sawmill workers sitting on the back of his truck and in the cab, and he's going to watch us cut that tree down. Well, nobody didn't want to help him. Casto cut into it, afraid to get stung. I said, I'll help you if you'll stop that hole up where they can't get us while we're sawing it. We're going to saw it about half down, and he's going to take the axe and chip into it, you know, and get them. We sawed in there. He got about halfway through it. He said, that'll be enough. Well, I took the saw and got back out of the way, and he grabbed the chopping axe and pulled that old rag he had stuck in that hole. He went chopping right down through him, you know. Of course, that made him mad. Well, they just went to fogging him. Well, he had the bee bonnet on, but he got to slapping and knocking it down. They was flying at his face, and he got some under it. Well, he knocked it off, and then them gloves, and he pulled one of them gloves off, just put them down there at his knees like that, got him pulled them off, and they just covered his hands. And he run his hands right in the bib of his overalls. Of course, they just stung him. He went to running toward that truck and hollered, they're stinging me to death. Willis Johnson locked the door to keep him out. He didn't want him to cab of that truck with all them bees in there. Man, they stung him. And he said, well, I guess that'll be the end of the bees. I said, yeah, y'all done been the end of them before you got into this trouble.